Alright. Well, I guess we'll do it in 3, 2, 1. What's going on YouTube? It's fineokay, and today I'm bringing you guys a God Guide. My stream actually has a sub goal of 110 subs, and I said I would do a God Guide then. But I figured I could do Bellona because I haven't really been putting out too many informational videos lately, and I need to do that more. So figured I'd do Bellona because I know Bellona really well. Maybe move my mic a little bit closer. And I'm also doing it live on my stream at twitch.tv/fineokay. So if I make any mistakes, that feels bad, but we're just going to go with it. I'm kind of just going to talk about Bellona for a while. It's not going to be as organized as the other God Guides. I'm going to still go through each different aspect of the kit and the character and how to play her in Conquest, but basically we're just going to be talking about Bellona for probably like 20-30 minutes. So first off, we start with the build like we usually do. You always go Death Toll on Bellona. You have the AoE autos on your bludgeon, so and you're an auto attack based warrior, so you make use of the passive really well. The 100 health is good, and you know it's just really good on you. All right. And we go Boots 1 like always, and Health Chalice and 2 health pots. You'll never run out of mana with Bellona, and you should be getting your blue buff because Bellona gets pressure in pretty much every lane. Because of her clear on her 2 and how she can group up the wave and how she can use Death Toll. So you should always get your blue. You should never have problems there. Even if you don't, I would still go this just because Death Toll gives you enough mana on your AoE autos and stuff. And if you don't get your blue, you're probably in a 1v2 situation where their jungler is camping you. So you don't need to be spamming your abilities. You just kind of need to clear the wave under tower. But like I said, you should be getting pressure. So this would be the starting build. Now I'm going to go through Bellona's abilities real quick because I never do that, and I think hers are actually pretty important. So her 1 is a 15-second cooldown shield bash. It's a dash. It's a very short dash that applies a slow to people, and it gives you block stance. So similar to Athena, every 3 autos you gain a stack of block. You get a max of 3 stacks. And that means if somebody autos you, it just does nothing. But in fact, that's what Athena's does. But with Bellona, you actually reflect a little bit of damage. So you reflect 30% of it. So it's kind of like a mini Thorns and a mini Athena passive with the block stuff. So it's a really good ability, especially late game and especially against ADCs. You'll kind of find that Bellona is basically built to go against ADCs, basically to shut them down. Because you'll see in her 3rd ability, which we're going to talk about after her 2, which is the best ability in the game. Just kidding, it used to be. But it's still a really good ability. Gives her AoE autos. The sound on it is amazing. This is your AoE autos. This is how you use Death Toll really well. It's also your main clear and your main form of damage. It has a multiplier on it, 25% per enemy got hit. So if you hit the entire enemy team, you're going to get a huge multiplier. So the more people you hit with the wind-up of this, I'll show you guys it real quick since it's the ability you level first. A little wind-up, you hit more people with that, then that damage is going to do a lot more. It's one of the coolest abilities in the game in my opinion. Really well designed. And then, like I said, her Scourge is another anti-ADC ability. It is actually a disarm. This was the first character that introduced a disarm into the game. It just makes it so you cannot auto-attack. So it's pretty cool. It also gives you a little bit of healing. When Bellona first came out, Bellona is one of those characters, when she came out, she was the most broken thing in the game. But they toned her down a lot. Like, you used to be able to heal on towers with this. Used to give you a much bigger heal. But so every 3rd auto, you get a heal from that. And then every 3rd auto from this, you get a stack of your block. So it's kind of the theme here. And then Bellona's ultimate, which is basically just an up-down CC immune stun. Show you here real quick. You just ult, place a flag, and then for 10 seconds, is it 10 seconds? Is it 8 seconds? So it levels up actually, so it goes up to 10. It starts at 6. Gives your team physical power, and it does damage and gives your team physical protection. So it's a really good ultimate for a warrior and a soul laner, and probably one of the best soul laner ultimates in the game. So those are her abilities. We already talked about her start, so I'm gonna go back to level 1. So the way you play Bellona is pretty simple, the way you clear and everything at least. No matter the matchup, the only matchup that you have a rough time in is probably Osiris, but you should be able to stalemate it. If it's a really good Bellona versus a really good Osiris, it should basically just stalemate. But the way you clear is, we're not going to have somebody here that I can show this on, but I'll just tell you. We're waiting for the waves now. So this is how you play level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, no matter the level. They're going to walk up to the wave just like you're walking up to the wave, and you're going to hit them with the wind-up of this, and then hit these back minions, and because you hit them with the wind-up over here, you're going to group up to minions, so you're going to be able to auto all 5 with your bludgeon AoE autos. Obviously, I just lost mine because I wasn't in combat. Oh, that's another thing. With Bellona passive, you have to stay in combat for these, to keep these weapons, because she has 3 weapons, right? Her shield, then her bludgeon, then her Scourge. You have to stay in combat. And also, the more auto attacks you more times you auto attack, you get protections and movement speed. It's one of the best passives in the game. Honestly, Bellona's Kid is just so good. But like I said, you just hit the enemy soul laner with the wind up. I'll show you again. Because they're going to walk up to the wave just like you are. You're going to hit them with the wind up. It's going to group up the whole minion, and you're going to out clear every character in the game, basically, in solo. So all 6 of them would be right next to me. And because you have these AoE autos and Death Toll, and you have so much health, you have these 2 pots that you could easily just pop if you need to. You're never going to be in a situation where they can mess with you. Like, if they go on you, you're still going to be chilling, and you're going to be clearing the wave really easily. So you're not going to take a lot of damage. So that's basically how you play Bellona in the laning phase. The only matchup, like I said, that you should worry about is Osiris, but every other matchup, just walk past them, out-clear them, and then after you have cleared the way, because you should out-clear them, especially at the lower levels, just go on them. You can shield bash them and it'll provide a slow. You can disarm them when they're trying to clear the minions in their tower. That's one good use of your disarm. So say you out-push them and then you have your disarm, and they have to play back because you're like auto-attacking them, doing a lot of damage. If these minions get under tower, they just disappear, but if these minions get under tower, when they're trying to auto-attack it to get the gold, you just use your disarm right before the minion dies, and you can deny them. Excuse me, have a cough. You can deny them a lot of gold, because like I said, you're going to get pressure anyway. So yeah. So that's basically how you play Bellona in the laning phase. Like I said, you should trade up most of the time, depending on the character and depending on your health and everything like that. Make sure you clear the way before you do trade, for the most part, unless they're low health and you know that you can kill them. But like I said, you're going to trade up most of the time, so definitely 1v1 a whole lot. Character like Osiris, who has a pretty good matchup into you, one of the best, like I was talking about. One good thing you can do against him is he's going to tether you a lot of the time, and right before the tether stuns, you just have to get this down, you know, muscle memory. Right before the tether stuns, just disarm him, and then he's disarmed for, what is it, 3 seconds? Okay, they actually reduced it. It used to be 3 seconds, but it's 1.4 to 2.2. This is the ability you level next, but 1.5 seconds. So if you disarm him right before the tether stuns, he won't be able to auto-attack you while you're stunned, and you'll reduce a lot of his damage. So that's one way to deal with the Osiris matchup. The starting build, or at least the starting relic, we already talked about the build, is usually Horrific. I really like Horrific because it allows you to play really aggressive, allows you to stick to them with your autos, and because you're out clearing them, you should be like able to just Horrific them and just go on them nonstop. And one more thing about the level 1 clear is you're going to out clear everyone level 1. Bellona has the best level 1 clear in the game, pretty much, in solo lane. Even if it's 1v2, you're going to be able to clear, unless they have like a super high kill lane. You know, like, I don't even have an example, but like a Willix, Ymir, or something crazy. Unless they have a super high kill lane, then you should be able to outclear them pretty much no matter what, especially if your jungler is there. If you're Bellona and you have your jungler in your lane, you should outclear 100% of the time, no exception. So that's one thing to think about. So anyway, that's basically how you play Bellona in laning phase. Let's go on to the build. So the number 1 thing that I see people do is they go Warrior Tabi and Bellona, which I don't really like. I'd much rather go Ninja Tabi for plenty of reasons. More Death Toll procs. Excuse me. More Death Toll procs, for one. More passive stacks. Like we said, if you auto-attack more, you get more movement speed and protections. More block stance stacks, which is super important late game. More AoE auto stacks. And also more healing off your Scourge. So, all of those reasons add to the fact that you should be going Ninja Tabi on Bellona. Warrior Tabi makes your bludgeon hit a lot harder, but that's pretty much it. Your autos are going to hit a little bit harder, but you're not going to be able to auto as much, and you won't be able to proc your blocks and your healing off your Scourge as much. So that's why I always go Ninja Tabi, no matter the matchup. Always go Ninja Tabi. I used to go into Glad Shield, into Mystical, but after the Glad Shield nerf, I kind of like just going for that sustain, Stone and Gaia. So the theme with Bellona and Osiris and Erling is that you just build health and protections on them, because you don't really need CDR. They make use of the like just sheer protections and health a lot more. You're going to be doing a lot of damage with Mystical and sticking to them and auto-attacking them anyway, and ulting them. So I just like going health and protections. It's kind of what most people do on these characters. Some people like to go Hide of the Nemean. I would prefer to go it later. Like, I'd go it right here, especially if I'm going to go Thorns here. So this would be a normal Bellona build for me. And then I can either go Runic Shield. If I don't really have to worry about their magical damage that much, I like to go Runic Shield because it gives me a little bit of offensive capability. Sorry for the coughing, guys. Gives me a little offensive capability, and I don't really need the magical protections because I have so much health, and I'm diving on the ADC so much that the magical damage isn't that big of a deal. So I like to go Runic Shield. But if it is a big deal, maybe they have an Ao Kuang jungler or something, maybe you go Bulwark. Bulwark's really good here. Like I said, health, protection, super good. But if you're not really going to be going on their ADCs a whole lot, and this is more offensive, this is more for like ranked and stuff too. I like to go Stone Cutting Masamune. So you're not gonna have a lot of magical protections, but you're gonna do a lot of damage to their mage, and you're gonna have a lot of health, so you don't really have to worry about it. This is a cool build I like to go in ranked. That's pretty fun. But if you're playing at the top level and you're really worried about your build, then I would go something like Runic Shield.
Let's do this.
Nemean. So let's go to level 20 real quick, just so I can show you the prots and everything. And if I'm going Nemean, I'm always going Thorns. Even though I've talked about in one of my Coach Fine videos, I don't really like Thorns on Bellona because it kind of defeats the purpose. In a super high level game, Thorns is still really good because you're still going to reflect a bunch. So you have 228 physical, 128 magical, and if you stack up your Height of the Urchin, you're going to end up with 258 physical and 158 magical. And keep in mind that with Bellona passive and with Ninja Tabi and having a lot of attack speed, you're going to be getting a lot of protections from your passive. So you're going to have even more than that. So I like Thorns on her, especially if you're going Nemean. But we can talk about some of the other relics as well. Sprint's really good on her because you can upgrade it and then you can just Fatalis people down. So that's always an option. Talk about Thorns. Pretty much those are your three that you're going to be going. Sprint, Thorns, or Horrific. I usually like to go Horrific and Thorns. That's usually my go-to. But you can never go wrong with going a sprint, especially if they have a lot of slows or something that you have to sprint your team out of, and then eventually you can upgrade it to a Fatalis giving sprint. So, yeah, so that's basically that. That's how you build her. This would be my go-to build basically every time. But if I'm not trying to have fun or if I'm trying to carry a game super hard and ranked, then Stone Cutting is always an option as well. So a lot of people like to go Shoguns on Bellona. Shogun's Kasari, because it's a magical defense item and it provides attack speed, and you think, well, that's pretty good on her, and then the cooldown, you know, you could always make use of that. But it only gives you 40 magical protection, no health, which, like I said, you usually want to go a protection item and a health item combined in one, and that just isn't available here, and it only gives you 40, so it's just not that great. And usually your support's getting that anyway. You can't really afford to go that, or you'll just get one shot basically, because even if you're going a physical defense item, well, maybe you'll get one shot by mages, but if you're going health in that item, then that health is going to help you against those mages anyway. So I don't really like going Shoguns on her. And also, a lot of lower level people like to go Kins because she's auto attack based, but I promise you, if you just build more defense and health, you'll do more damage just for surviving longer for one, and also just having bruiser items like Runic Shield. So this would be my go-to build for the most part. We're at 3230 health, which is pretty good at level 20 for a warrior, and we have all those physical protections, and we can stick to everybody basically. So that's how you build Bellona. So next up, we're going to talk about how to play Bellona in team fights. We don't really have like the scenarios here, but I'm basically just going to talk to you about it. A lot of characters that are in the meta have dashes or escapes, and with Bellona, all you're going to want to do is say this is a Uller. Say we're playing against Uller, right? And I'm trying to shut down the ADC. All I'm going to do is I'm going to dash up to him, and start auto-attacking him, and most of the time with my mystical mail damage, and maybe if I horrific him, he's going to jump away. So with Bellona ult, you're just going to follow people with their when they jump or when they dash away. You're just going to ult them because they're going to have their escape down, and they're going to have to use an active. And as a solo laner, you're either forcing their actives to help your team, you're initiating the fight, or you're just 1v1ing somebody and owning them, you know, diving their backline like we always talk about dabbing. So we can do that if we force their jump, maybe we horrific, whatever, and most of the time we're going to kill them, or at least force their actives. So that's basically how you play Bellona in teamfights. Basically, you just get in the middle of everything, try and hit a lot of people with your bludgeon, run at the ADC, make sure you disarm him, and also, a little combat thing is basically always fight in your one. Keep it up in team fights, because if people are trying to auto you and you're just getting your block stacks, they're never going to hit you. They're going to do 0 damage to you. And if you're ever in a situation where they're kind of far away and you can't get autos off, just hit them with the disarm, and then that's even more time that they're not able to hit you. So basically just go on the ADC if your Thorns are up, or if your Horrific's up, you know, their actives are down or whatever, or they're just, maybe their ADC is huge. But if not, you can always go on their mage as well. A lot of mages don't have escapes or have very short escapes, so if you ult them, you're basically just going to pound them for eternity. They're gonna use their actives, and you can use your horrific and just chase them down and stuff. So, do not be afraid to fight ADCs late game. Like I said, if you pop your thorns, you stay in your block stance, you're gonna outtrade them, because if they're trying to fight you in this, even if you have even if they're like super big and they have a full build, if they're trying to fight you in this, they're gonna get the block reflect damage 30% plus Nemean if they ever actually do hit you, and then it's just like, just think about it. The amount of times that they'll actually hit you when your block stance is down and hit you with Nemean, and maybe even your thorns up, you're gonna outtrade them super hard. Sorry, stumbling over my words a little bit there, but yeah, I know it's pretty straightforward, but it's just that simple. You basically just dive their carries in team fights. Never really look to peel. Always just kind of dive that back line, even if they're going on your team super hard. The best way to peel for your team as a solo laner, in my opinion, is to make room for your backline. So if they're going on my backline super hard, but I can see their carries, if I just go on them, it's gonna help peel for my backline, because those carries will not be able to do damage. So you're just gonna create room in between the two fronts of the fight, I guess you could say. So yeah, that's that. Let me see if there's anything else I can talk about. Also, oh yeah, we could talk about Bellona's ult. So like I said, you want to chase people a lot, but you can also set up a lot of abilities with your ult, since it's a 1 second stun. But it's very easy to hit. Like, it's a pretty big circle there. You can set up Raw ult with that. So Raw is really good mid laner to play with. You can just set up like all these kind of different burst abilities that you can think about in team comps and stuff. So it's really good for setup. And it's also just a good initiation, because you can jump over walls with it. It's CC immune. You can immediately stun somebody, and it's gonna force their actives most of the time. So like I said, just try and hit multiple people with your bludgeon. Use that for your burst, obviously. Usually fight in your block stance, especially if you're in melee range with somebody. But if they get away, maybe disarm them so they can't hit you. But for the most part, try and stay in this. And another reason I love Mystical on Bellona is it keeps you in your weapon stance. Like, if I walk into, well, I missed it there, but because I ran out of time, but it keeps you in your weapon stances because it keeps you in combat. So if I walk over here, it's going to keep me in my weapon stance, right? If I walk over here, I'm still in this weapon stance. Where if I didn't have Mystical and I was just near him, I would lose that weapon. And most of the time, you want to keep the weapon you have and have the ability to change it whenever you want. So I want to change to a bludgeon now, I'll immediately use that. But if I'm just sitting here, I'm not autoing him, I'm not doing any extra effort, it's going to keep me in this weapon stance. So yeah, that's basically that. Another thing with Bellona is she can auto cancel every ability. So if I let's just walk up, I'm gonna auto after this. So I just weave in auto like every time there. Her one auto cancels pretty well, which I'll show you when it's back off cooldown. It's the best one to auto cancel with. But like I said, make sure you're weaving in autos in between your abilities, because it's gonna increase your DPS by a lot. So if I just auto, I get an instant auto there, right? It doesn't hit that hard, but it's still pretty important, and it'll increase your DPS. So you can auto cancel every single one of her abilities. Maybe not auto cancel, but just weaving in autos in between her abilities. Because if I'm gonna wait for my one to be back up. If I walk up, do this, and then immediately 2 and then 3, like, I'm just losing out on potential DPS there. Like, I'm gonna be able to hit those autos almost 100% of the time. Let me go get my ult back. So you might as well weave in autos in there. So yeah, so you might as well weave in an auto, and there we go. There's an auto after that. Bludgeon, disarm. That'd be like kind of a full combo, but usually you're initiating with your ult. So you get the point, though. Just basically weave in autos between your abilities to increase your DPS. Trying to think if there's anything else to really talk about. That's pretty much it, I think. I don't really like going Frostbound. I'm blowing a lot of people, we at least used to go Frostbound on her, but you don't need it to stick to carries. You'll usually have your horrific up. You usually can slow them with your one. You can follow them with your ult. And you get movement speed from your passive anyway, so you're going to be pretty fast. You should be able to stick to them for the most part. So, excuse me, jeez. I would much rather just go a health and protection item, just to make me tankier, because you're going to stick to them anyway, right? So I don't really like Frostbound on her. So I'm dying. Anyway, so yeah, I don't really like Frostbound on her. Even though I don't like Frostbound, if you're just feeling kind of troll, and just want to have fun. Hasten
No
Katana
reason
is
to
actually
hold
really fun
back.
on her because it gives you that attack speed, and you can just stick them forever. But like I said, that's not something you should go in a real game, or if you're trying to play Bellona to the best level. It's just something fun to do. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I covered most of it. Bellona's pretty straightforward. I'd show you a little tips and tricks about her, but for the most part, in team fights, you're just diving super hard, and in laning phase, you're going to outclear most of the time, and the only matchup you should really have a problem with is Osiris. So make sure you hit them when you're trying to clear the wave so that you can aggro the wave and group it up. Make sure you hit multiple people with your bludgeon in fights. Make sure you're fighting in your one stance for the most part, because you're going to block a lot of abilities and reflect damage. And yeah, follow people with your ult in team fights. Always dive the backline. Create room for your team. Pop your thorns when they're not disarmed. Don't three somebody and then immediately pop your thorns, right? Because they're not going to reflect any damage. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that covers most of it. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. I did this live, so hopefully it wasn't too convoluted and everything. Hope you guys enjoyed. I just said that. Oh well. I'll see you guys in the next video. Yeah, peace out. Jeez.